From obsolete biplanes to the fighters that flew over Berlin, the Soviet Air Force fielded dozens of aircraft throughout the Great Patriotic War. Let's begin with the fighters. I-15. The I-15 was a chunky gull-wing biplane, already obsolete by 1941. Its open cockpit and fixed landing gear made it easy prey for German fighters. I-16. The I-16, nicknamed Ishak or Donkey, was a stubby barrel of a fighter. This Spanish Civil War veteran featured revolutionary retractable gear but couldn't match Bf-109 performance. I-153 Chaika. The I-153 Chaika added retractable gear to the biplane formula. Despite the modernization, it remained hopelessly outdated when Germany invaded. LAGG-3. The LAGG-3 earned the nickname Varnished Coffin from its own pilots. Heavy, underpowered, and built from laminated wood, it was an early war disaster. Yak-1. The Yak-1 was the lightweight answer to the LAGG catastrophe. Its nimble handling and lower weight made it competitive with Luftwaffe fighters. Yak-3. The Yak-3 refined the lightweight formula into a dogfighting masterpiece. French Normandy Niemen pilots specifically requested it over all other Allied fighters. Yak-7. The Yak-7 began life as a two-seat trainer before combat conversion. This stopgap solution proved surprisingly effective in frontline service. Yak-9. The Yak-9 became the most produced Soviet fighter with countless variants. It served from Stalingrad to Berlin in roles from interception to ground attack. Yak-9D. The Yak-9D featured extended range tanks for bomber escort missions. It accompanied Soviet bombers all the way to Germany's industrial heartland. Yak-9T. The Yak-9T mounted a 37mm cannon through the propeller hub. This tank-buster variant could crack open German armor from above. MiG-3. The MiG-3 was designed for high-altitude interception but fought at low level. This fatal mismatch relegated a promising design to mediocrity. LAGG-5. The LAGG-5 replaced the inline engine with a radial, redeeming its predecessor's reputation. Suddenly, the varnished coffin could fight back. LA-7. The LA-7 represented the peak of Soviet piston fighter development. Ace Ivan Kozhedub scored 62 kills in this sleek radial engine killer. LA-5FN. The LA-5FN featured a boosted engine that finally matched FW-190 performance. Soviet pilots could now meet German fighters on equal terms. P-39 Airacobra. The P-39 Airacobra was rejected by American pilots, but beloved by Soviets. Its nose-mounted 37mm cannon made it perfect for low-altitude combat. P-63 King Cobra. The P-63 King Cobra arrived too late for widespread combat use. Most served in training roles, preparing pilots for frontline duty. While fighters battled for the skies, Soviet ground attack aircraft turned the Eastern Front into hell. Next up are the attackers and bombers, aircraft designed to bring fire and steel directly to German positions. Il-2 Sturmovik. The Il-2 Sturmovik was the legend, the most produced military aircraft in history. Its bathtub armor shielded the pilot while rockets and cannons devastated German armor. Stalin himself called it essential as air and bread. Il-10. The Il-10 improved the Sturmovik formula with heavier armor and higher speed. It arrived late in the war, but proved even more lethal than its predecessor. Su-2. The Su-2 was a pre-war light bomber slaughtered during the 1941 invasion. Its crews fought bravely in an obsolete design against modern fighters. P-2. The P-2 was a fast dive bomber, the Soviet equivalent of the Mosquito. Its speed and agility made it one of the war's most versatile aircraft. P-3. The P-3 converted the P-2 bomber into a heavy fighter. This multi-role adaptation filled gaps in Soviet interceptor capability. Tu-2. The Tu-2 was the best Soviet bomber, arriving late but delivering devastating accuracy. Its crews praised its handling and survivability under fire. SB-2. The SB-2 medium bomber was already obsolete when Germany attacked. These vulnerable aircraft suffered catastrophic losses in the war's opening weeks. DB-3, the DB-3, later redesignated Il-4, was a long-range bomber that struck Berlin in 1941. These audacious raids boosted Soviet morale during desperate times. Year 2. The Year 2 was a long-range heavy bomber produced in limited numbers. Its impressive range couldn't overcome production complications and material shortages. PE-8. The PE-8 was the only Soviet 4-engine heavy bomber to see service. These rare giants bombed Berlin and demonstrated strategic bombing capability. TB-3. The TB-3 was an ancient 4-engine giant relegated to night harassment duties. What once represented Soviet air power became a makeshift cargo hauler. R-5. The R-5 biplane served as reconnaissance bomber before becoming a night harasser. This obsolete design dropped small bombs on German positions under darkness. Po-2. The Po-2, originally a trainer, became the Night Witch legend. Women's regiments cut engines to glide silently over German lines, dropping bombs before anyone heard them coming. A-20 Boston. The A-20 Boston arrived through Lend-Lease and served widely as a light bomber. American-built aircraft supplemented Soviet production throughout the war. B-25 Mitchell. The B-25 Mitchell provided medium bomber capability via Lend-Lease. These sturdy American aircraft reinforced Soviet strategic bombing efforts. Beyond combat roles, the Soviet war machine needed eyes in the sky and supplies on the ground. Next up are the reconnaissance, transport, and training aircraft. Unglamorous machines that kept the Red Air Force operational through 5 years of brutal warfare. PR. The PR was the photo reconnaissance variant mapping German positions from high altitude. Its cameras provided crucial intelligence for Soviet offensive planning across the Eastern Front. Yak-R. The Yak-R combined fighter speed with reconnaissance capability for fast surveillance flights. It could photograph enemy positions and fight its way out if intercepted. Po-2 Recon variant. The Po-2 Recon variant flew slow observation missions, nearly impossible for fighters to intercept. German pilots struggled to match its crawling speed without stalling their own aircraft. Li-2. The Li-2 was the Soviet copy of the DC-3 transport workhorse. Initially license-built, production continued after permissions expired. American design keeping Soviet logistics moving. PS-84. The PS-84 was simply the pre-war designation before renaming to Li-2. This civil airliner became military transport when Germany invaded in June 1941. TB-3 transport. The TB-3 obsolete bomber found new life hauling cargo instead of bombs. These lumbering giants carried supplies to isolated units and partisan forces behind German lines. G-11. The G-11 was a transport glider delivering supplies silently behind enemy lines. Towed by bombers, these wooden craft landed in clearings beyond German detection range. A-7. The A-7 assault glider carried airborne troops into combat zones without engine noise. Soviet paratroopers rode these flimsy craft into battle during river crossing operations. C-47 Skytrain. The C-47 Skytrain arrived through Lend-Lease, supplementing Soviet transport capacity. American logistics backbone merged seamlessly with Soviet operations throughout the war. UT-1. The UT-1 was the pre-war basic trainer where thousands of pilots first learned to fly. Its simple design and forgiving handling made it ideal for mass pilot production. UT-2. The UT-2 served as primary trainer with gentle flight characteristics for novice pilots. This two-seat aircraft transformed civilians into military aviators by the thousands. Yak-7V. The Yak-7V was the two-seat trainer variant before its combat fighter conversion. Dual controls taught advanced techniques before pilots transitioned to single-seat frontline fighters. Po-2 trainer. The Po-2 trainer was the original role before night bombing fame made it legendary. Every Soviet pilot knew this reliable biplane from their earliest training days. UTI-4. The UTI-4 was an advanced trainer preparing pilots for high-performance frontline fighters. It bridged the gap between basic instruction and combat-ready capability under fire. As the war ground on, the Soviets fielded increasingly experimental and desperate designs. Next up are the experimental aircraft and prototypes, desperate innovations and promising designs that never quite made it to the front line. I-185. The I-185 was a powerful fighter prototype that outperformed everything in Soviet service. Bureaucratic delays and production priorities killed it despite superior speed and firepower over existing fighters. LaGG-3IT. The LaGG-3IT mounted a 23mm or 37mm cannon for tank-killing experiments. This specialized variant tested anti-armor concepts but never escaped prototype status. Yak-3T. The Yak-3T carried a 37mm cannon firing through the propeller hub. Recoil and weight penalties limited adoption despite impressive armor-penetrating capability. Su-6. The Su-6 was an armored attacker prototype competing directly with the Il-10. It lost the production battle despite comparable performance and protection. TIS. The TIS was a heavy twin-engine fighter showing real promise in testing. Developmental problems and shifting priorities cancelled production before mass deployment. PE-2VI. The PE-2VI featured cabin pressurization for high-altitude fighter interception. This experimental variant explored stratospheric combat zones beyond normal operational ceilings. GU-1. The GU-1 was an armored ground attacker deemed too specialized for adoption. Its heavy protection couldn't justify the limited operational flexibility. OKA-38. The OKA-38 was an experimental dive bomber abandoned during development. Testing revealed handling problems that engineers couldn't resolve before program cancellation. Polikarpov ITP. The Polikarpov ITP combined a piston engine with a ramjet booster. This mixed-power fighter flew in 1945, but arrived after conventional designs proved sufficient. Biznovat SK. The Biznovat SK was a rocket-powered interceptor project never reaching completion. Material shortages and technical challenges prevented this ambitious design from flying. BI-1. The BI-1 rocket fighter made brief flights before cancellation ended the program. Its dangerous fuel and limited endurance made conventional fighters more practical. Nikitin Shevchenko IS series. The Nikitin Shevchenko IS series featured folding biplane wings for variable configuration. Mechanical complexity doomed these overly ambitious fighters to experimental status only. Antonov A-40. The Antonov A-40 was literally a flying tank, a glider with a T-60 slung underneath. One test flight proved the concept absurd despite successful detachment and landing. Zveno project. The Zveno project mounted parasite fighters on TB-3 bomber wings for extended range. These combinations actually saw brief combat use, bombing Romanian oil facilities in 1941. From obsolete biplanes to rocket fighters, from legends like the Il-2 to absurdities like flying tanks, the Soviet air arsenal was nothing if not comprehensive.